at 5:24 p.m. Our first order of business is to call roll. The secretary will now take the roll.
Okay, Dr. McIntyre,
Present.
Ashley Herbert,
Present.
Judy Lamore,
Present.
Tiffany Coleman,
Present.
Sharon Pickford, and Jessica Tucker.
Present.
And of course, me.
This team will only be able to take official action if quorum is present. Ms. Powell?
Tucker.
Yes.
Lumumba is here. She didn't call my name.
Ms. Powell?
Miss Lumumba.
I'm here.
So
Okay.
sorry, Ms. Lumumba.
It's okay.
2, 3, 4, 5.
Is there a quorum present?
It's 7 people.
Okay. We can now proceed with our, hold on, no. We can now proceed with our action items. Okay. Our first order of business is to approve the agenda. This was provided to you and copies were sent to your email address. Are there any changes to the agenda? All right. May I have a motion to approve the agenda?
I motion to approve the agenda.
A second?
A second.
All in favor, please say aye so that the secretary can record your vote.
Aye, Lumumba.
I
Aye, Jessica Tucker.
Aye, Ashley Herbert.
Aye, Tiffany Coleman.
Aye, Judy Lamore.
All opposed, please say nay. Any abstentions? Please say abstain. All right, thank you. Ms. Powell, our secretary has noted who made the motion, who was seconded, and how many members voted. We will review and approve the meeting minutes from our last meeting. The minutes were provided to you on the website and they were sent to you after last meeting. Are there any corrections to the minutes? If there are no corrections, may I have a motion to approve the previous meeting's minutes?
A motion.
That was from Ms. Tiffany
Coleman.
Coleman.
Sorry.
A second?
I second Ms. Powell.
All in favor, please say aye.
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 Ms. Tucker, aye.
Lumumba, Coleman. Aye.
Ashley Herbert, aye.
All opposed, please say nay. Any abstentions, please say abstain. All right. We have an action item on our agenda to fill a vacant seat. We will now move to filling a vacant seat. Before we begin, I'd like to remind the Go team of the following. The principal brings forth the nominations for the vacant seat. All Go team members have only one vote per seat. Individuals filling a vacant seat will serve until the conclusion of the seat's term. We will now fill the vacant seat. Dr. McIntyre, do you have any nominations for our Go Team's vacant seat?
Do you have a recommendation, Miss Judy Lamore?
Thank you, Dr. McIntyre. Would you like to provide any information about Miss Judy
So,
Lamore?
Miss Judy is one of our community partners. She has been partnered, well, the organization has been partnered with FL Stanton for many years. And I believe Miss Lamore has also participated on the Go team in years past. And so she is now eligible to participate once again to be able to fill this vacancy that we have.
Thank you, Dr. McIntyre. We will now proceed to vote on this nomination. For the nomination of Ms. Judy Lamore to fill the vacant position of community member, does anyone have any comments or discussion about this nominee? All right, all in favor, please say aye. Jessica Tucker, aye.
Aye,
Tiffany
Stephanie
Coleman.
Coleman.
I, Ashley Herbert.
I, Malika Lumumba.
All opposed, please say nay. Any abstentions, please say abstain. And the voting shows that Miss Judy Lamore will be filling our community seat. We will move forward in our meeting. We will now move to the discussion items on the agenda. Our first discussion item is the Georgia Milestones math data.
Oh. All right, can you all see? Okay, let me move some of this stuff out of the way. Here we go. Okay, so before we start our discussion, I want to first talk about where we are. This is where we are. Our strategic plan is the guide for the work we're doing at the school. And so that's what we're going to be talking about today, our strategic plan and our continuous improvement plan for this school year and how it's related to the data that we see in our priorities. So in our timeline for Go Teams for the fall semester, We are here at step 4 between September and December, where we are utilizing current data, which we'll be looking at today. The newest data that we have, we've already looked at literacy, so now we'll be looking at math, to review the possible updates that may need to be provided for our school strategic priorities and plan. So for our discussion items for today, we will talk about that strategic plan. I want to start with that, and then we'll move on to milestones and both MAP data, our continuous improvement plan, that alignment for that plan and the update, and then we'll have a little update from our school uniforms. So our current strategic plan. So this is the plan that was developed prior to my selection as principal. So, but nevertheless, it is still our strategic plan. So starting with our mission and vision, with a caring culture of equity, trust, and collaboration, every student will graduate college and career ready. In our vision, a high-performing school where students love to learn, educators inspire, families engage, and the community trusts the system. And so our school strategic priorities, we currently have 8: improve mastery of core content knowledge, implement a STEM program model, to implement a strategic writing initiative, are all part of our fostering academic excellence for all. And in our building culture of student support, we have inform and engage community, sustain a school culture conducive of the students' social, emotional, and learning needs, and equipping and empowering leaders and staff to create ongoing opportunities for staffers to volunteer to leadership roles based on strengths and interest, and in creating a system of school support to build systems to identify ways to systematically determine needs of resources as aligned to students progressing towards proficiency across the content areas, and finally to build a system of resources to support STEM. And so our school strategies that have been established align to those school strategic priorities. All of that is in response to our goals of increasing the percentage of proficient and distinguished learners for both reading, ELA, and math, and also in building the staff's capacity to consistently use that data to inform whole child intervention. So in looking at the data, our first discussion items, and we will, after reviewing this, have an opportunity to have some discussion about it. So I would like to present each slide and to actually go through our discussion protocol with each slide as opposed to waiting until the end. So want everyone to take a look at our MAP results. So we're looking at math in particular. And this is looking at our data across to try to identify some potential trends that we see. So with MAP, we're able to get data for second grade as well. On GMAS, we don't. We only have third, fourth, and fifth grade. But with MAP, we're able to get second grade because that helps us to identify some growth by the time the students get to third grade. So in looking at these results, this is around proficiency. So I want to explain to you what you see here, and then I'll give you an opportunity to tell me kind of what you see, what you notice, what you might be wondering about, and have some specific questions for you. So the top graph is the winter. So this is last winter, 23-24, and that's second, third, fourth, and fifth grade. The red is beginning learner. The yellow is developing. The green is proficient. So you will see a lighter green and a darker green. The lighter green is proficient. The darker green is distinguished. When you see a small sliver of green, that is 3%. That 3% usually represents one student. When you see the 8% or 9%, that represents two students, or 3. So the next graph that you see is the spring 23-24. So this is shortly before milestones were taken. And then fall 24-25 is what we did in August. And so there is a difference. I do want to note there is a difference in students of who was in second grade, who was in third grade, who was in fourth. So that shifts when we go to the fall. So it is different students, but nevertheless, we still look at the grade levels and what the grade bands are doing. So I'll give you a moment to take a look at this data. Keep in mind, I'm going to ask, what do you notice about the information that you see? Sorry.
So one thing that um I noticed is that the fourth grade from last year, which is the fifth grade from this year, um the the math data that they ended with, it's kind of the same way that they started this school year. So it was not a lot of learning loss. It pretty much looks about the same in percentages from the fourth grade that moved to the fifth grade.
I was going to make that remark, actually, Miss Tucker, for all the grades, that it looks like we didn't have learning loss over the summer, which is excellent. It also looks like this year's second graders are much stronger starting the school year than last year's second graders were in the winter, which reflects that the efforts of last year to focus on math school-wide clearly have had an impact.
I will add that just some context for you around math, which is last year we actually had new math standards, and so students and teachers were engaging with um, math curriculum that was new. And new at certain grade levels. And so, what you see here for winter and spring is what it was essentially what it looked like with getting new curriculum and where that put us when we started the new school year. Okay, so as you talk about what you notice, do we see any areas for growth? And if so, where are some areas of growth?
I'm noticing from winter, from 2023 to 2024 to spring, that the bands for beginners had increased. So that would definitely be an area of growth, because second grade went from 50 to 68, third grade 52 to 57, fourth grade 44 to 57, and lastly fifth grade 63% to 71%.
So I also think about like where we might need to, put some efforts. And so when I think about our goals being around um, improving proficiency, it looks like we are on that track. Like our green is getting larger. And so as we, look to decrease the amount of red, we want to definitely increase the amount of green. So the more learners that are currently in beginning that we can move over to developing, which is that yellow, and the more yellow developing learners we can move over into green, that's definitely going to push our results.
Dr. McIntyre, if I recall correctly from when I was in the public schools, MAP results are correlated with where the students are expected to be at a specific time of year. So saying that we had 63% of fifth graders in the red in the winter last year and then 71% of fifth graders in the red in the spring is not reflective of kids going backwards of the knowledge they already had. Rather, it's reflective of the fact that in the spring, they didn't continue to move forward at the same rate as they had been moving forward in the fall. So it would be interesting to look, if not today, but to look at where they were in the fall to see, are we moving them successfully from fall to winter and they're struggling between winter and spring? Or are they starting the year where we expect them to start the year and then they're falling behind as the year progresses?
Yes, so that is true. Also, I want to add that the correlation, though, is still made to where they might perform if we were taking milestones at that time. So
Right.
while yes, it is looking at the data and where they are at that point in the year, it is still correlated to if we were to take milestones right now, this is what their performance level might be.
For sure. No, I was just looking at it from the standpoint of it might be, I know we struggled a lot with consistent attendance last year. Like,
Oh, yeah.
so, like I look at this and I wonder, is this because kids are absent and so they're not getting the instruction and so they are falling, like, are there other strategies we need to employ to help to ensure that they're getting the instruction that's being provided? Is it that what is causing the gap, I guess, is what I'm exploring.
Love it. Yes. So I'm going to transition to our GMAS. So this is what the progression of the milestones looks like. So the very top is this year, 2024, third, fourth, and fifth grade combined, because that's how the state looks at it for CCRPI, third through fifth grade. And then what you see underneath that is the breakdown of what it looks like in third, fourth, and fifth. So you see at the top what the total would be for 2024. Underneath that is our trend data. So what we looked like in 2022, 2023, and 2024 for milestones. And I'm going to ask the same questions that I asked before with Matt. What do you notice?
There were actually students who performed in the distinguished category for 2024. I don't see any of the dark green for 23 or for 22. It also looks as if the red decreased overall. I want to say overall for the grade levels because those developing ranges, they increased and it looks as though the green increased also for our fifth grade learners. However, if I were looking at this in a different lens, because the standards changed, it's almost hard to compare the 22, 23, and 24. It's almost like you're comparing 22, 23, and then 24 stands alone because there are brand new standards and there are some things that were removed from standards that were moved around, some things that were added for the learners. So yeah, it's almost like 2024 stands alone on this data.
I know FL Stanton has struggled historically with transient population. And so sometimes there is not a correlation, a logical correlation to be made in the overall numbers between one year and the next, because they're not just progressing up a grade. There may be similar numbers of enrollment, but they may not actually be the same children. And so because the numbers are so small, percentages stand out as larger. Like you said, 3% is usually one child. So it would be interesting to also track separately which of our kids fell into these different color zones who were actually not present for the bulk of instruction. Because I think, FL Stanton's going to bear the weight or the valor of the scores, but a lot of times those kids they didn't all get instructed in the building.
Very true. Are there any questions about the data? All right, so this is the protocol that we were using about notices and wonderings, and then to be able to look at the gaps that we may have seen or the trends. And so if there are no additional questions about the data, I will move on to our continuous improvement plan. So based on the data that was received from this past school year and the Georgia milestones, we then took a look at what do our goals need to be for this year moving forward. So usually we try to set a goal to increase around proficiency anywhere from 3 to 5%. We are looking to potentially push that envelope in some areas to maybe stretch it beyond. So we do have around a 5 or 6% goal. However, as we're thinking about this, kind of to your point before, Judy, is that we are drilling down to start to look at how many, like, who are these scholars and where are they really sitting, so that we can be strategic with this movement, so that we're looking at every single child. One of the things that we are trying to focus on is, yes, we want to improve the data. We want to improve proficiency. But our goal also is to, no matter what, make sure that every child grows. Kind of our vision here, like we call ourselves the Hope on the Hill, but we also have a motto right now that children grow here. We grow kids. So no matter where they are, we want to definitely push. We're pushing towards proficiency every day. But because we know those things that we've named in the previous discussion about the transient population and making sure that kids are there to receive the information and they're not absent, as well as are they staying there and staying with us. We want to make sure that no matter when they come, where they are, that we're able to grow them. But we still have goals around proficiency because that's what the state is looking at. We have to have proficient learners. So these are our goals for literacy: to increase the from 19% to 23% of proficiency and above. In numeracy, to increase proficiency from 22% to 28%. And with our continuous improvement plan, we also have a whole child. So again, addressing attendance, because that is a key issue, is to decrease from 49.8% to 39.8%. That is really, even that 10% is literally a handful of kids because our population is so small. To just decrease that chronically absenteeism. So these are our goals, our improvement goals for the year. Are there any questions or comments about our goals?
I don't have a question, but Dr. McIntyre, since you're new in town, just reiterating for the benefit of everybody present, including yourself, Camp Jenny has always tried to support that whole child and intervention goal. So please know, reach out to us, whatever we can do to help with absenteeism. We can provide sticker charts, we can provide prizes, we can provide print materials, whatever is going to motivate and encourage. We are happy to support, but you should also know that we have a fairly sizable population of teens and adults in the Atlanta area that have the capacity, both in time and ability, to help with the first two goals as well. I know a number of years ago, it kind of stopped with COVID, but we used to have a Saturday academy. And we actually had a contingent of Camp Jenny staff that came on Saturdays to help with tutoring in the spring. And then during COVID, we signed up, we had our teens and our adults signing up to help with things online with the students, like reading to a child online, or coming into a classroom and helping, you know, with a math game or something like that, all virtually. Obviously, we can't get our teens over to you during the school day, but if there are opportunities on the weekends or online where we can help support these goals, we are not just here to be the fun at the end of the year.
Awesome. Thank you. That is noted. Thank you very much. So I will keep it moving. So these are our action steps. So we have a set of action steps that we've determined for both literacy and math. I will tell you, I'm going to switch it over to math shortly, but they are very, very similar. And so our focus, you will see on the action steps, is around tier one instruction. And what tier one means is that this is the instruction that everybody gets. So we want to make sure that everybody is getting a chance to experience rigorous ELA instruction, and ELA includes both reading and writing. And then you'll see on the math that there is an implementation of rigorous tier one instruction in math as well. In literacy, we are wanting to also start to look at reteach and enrichment plans. So there's a tier one instruction. This is what everyone gets. We want to make sure that in that tier one, there's an opportunity for differentiation. So we have small groups that are going on. The district has allowed for us to be able to use curricula that group students. We take a needs assessment, and we're then able to group students based on their specific reading level and ability, and address those concerns that they might be having, as well as an opportunity for them to then also get some differentiation that happens around the standard. So if I'm struggling if I'm a reader and I'm struggling in phonics, I get some support around phonics, but then I also get that same kind of support in a smaller group setting around whatever the standards are as well. So I get to be met at my level, no matter what I'm doing in reading and writing. So that's the tier one. Also, if I don't get it, my teacher is also looking at the data, and they are creating a reteach plan for me and implementing a reteach plan. And then if I did get it, they're implementing an enrichment plan for me. So what do I get that pushes me a step further? So that's the action step number 2. So we are working with teachers right now to learn how to create those plans. That's the August to December. And then second semester, we'll be able to start looking at, and now that they know how to create them, are they able to implement them? And then we're going to monitor the kind of support that they're receiving based on the teacher implementation. So if teachers are able to do it, then we know that the coaching and the building capacity that we've put in place in those cycles is working. So that's the way the action plan kind of reads. And then we want to be able to address our subgroup population. So our subgroup at Stanton is our special ed population. Right now, it's not large enough to actually be considered a subgroup as far as the state reads it. But there's a possibility that it could. And so we don't want to miss, like, we don't want to wait till we get to a subgroup that's counted before we start focusing on it. We want to start focusing on them as a subgroup now, even though they're not counted, because they're counted in the all students. They're just not counted as a subgroup. So any attention that we put on them is still going to be helpful, even if they're not counted as a subgroup. So I just want to note that. But that our special ed population, the district has implemented some specially designed instructional strategies. That's what SDI stands for. And so that we want to implement those strategies in both ELA and math. So I'll give you a moment. I'll stop talking and I'll give you a moment to read the action plan for literacy, and then I'll switch it over to math. And I'm looking at faces and lips moving and that kind of thing to see if I need to, if you all are ready for me to switch it over to math and see if you're still reading. Okay, so I'll switch it over to math. And you'll notice it looks very similar because we want to do the same things in literacy and math. The difference is around we are calling out the small group instruction that happens in the math instructional framework. And we're doing that for both tier one as well, for tier one for all students, as well as what happens in the tier one for our special education students too.
Is it possible for us to
So
zoom
sorry,
in
I moved
on
my
the chart?
mouse. I'm sorry.
Is it
What's
possible
that?
for us to, is it possible for us to zoom in on the chart? Me and my four eyes are not picking up on these little bitty words.
So I don't know how to do that.
Okay.
Next time I'll try to make sure it's larger. Um, but I was trying to fit it on the slide. Miss Batiste is saying you can maybe grab it from your computer. Did that work?
Yes, I'm trying to answer, but I'm muted. Yes, yes, it is. Thank you.
Okay, good, 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 good. Thank you, Miss Batiste. So the question I want to ask about both of these action plans, in looking at our goals that we have, can you see the alignment of the action plan steps to these goals? Because that's what we're trying to make sure, that we have alignment for these goals, those action steps, as well as our strategic plan. We want to see a through line between all of those.
I think that it does. I particularly um paid attention to the fact that you didn't just say intervention, but also enrichment, because those students that scored in the not proficiency range, in the distinguished range, they get more points than the students that are in proficiency. So those points are also important. So we can't just leave them out. And those students who are already proficient, they need to be pushed more. We tend to be, because we have a larger population, sometimes the students who are performing, we have a larger population of students on grade level performance. We tend to focus more heavily on them, and we leave the ones that are performance by the wayside. And I did like that we said something about enriching the students as well.
Yes, I am I've challenged our instructional leadership team when we identify students that are in each of these categories, to look at the students that are on the cusp of moving to the next band. So whether it's red to yellow, yellow to green, green to bright green, like identify the kids that are right on the cusp, and let's intentionally try to move those children. Because literally, if we can move 2 to 5 kids in every band, we're making significant gains in just doing that. Like I said, it's not that we're only identifying those students, because that's why I said we're talking about tier 1 instruction, what everybody gets. But when we have an opportunity to get in small groups, that's when we start to identify specific kids, and what am I going to do for that kid, for these kids, for my 3 to 5 kids that are in my group. Because these kids in this group are similar, and we're going to push them. So, yes. Are there any other call outs?
Dr. McIntyre, I can't read all the small print now because I'm trying to drive safely. But when I was looking at the outcome data, it looked to me like we were hoping to achieve 80% mastery on the end of unit summary assessments or whatever they are. Are we putting ourselves in a position of is there a way to drill down a little bit and set that up so that that is an increasing goal rather than a set number that we start at in? Because it looked like you had the goal starting in January. Just from the standpoint that, looking at our colored graphs, I don't know that we can expect that by January, everyone's already at 80%. Rather, we want them to be showing a percentage of improvement over each assessment to allow us to achieve the goal that we have overall for literacy and math on the GMAS. So I didn't know if there's a way not to take that goal out, because of course we want to reach for the stars, but to somehow include some tiers to it so that you don't have faculty who feel defeated that 80% mastery isn't met the first time around.
So I do want to clarify that the common assessments are not won't measure growth at all. So the common assessments measure the proficiency of that set of standards, or that set of content for that particular period of time. So for example, when we take and that's not mapped, that common assessment is not mapped. Those common assessments are like unit assessments, or could be formative. So say in this in math in this particular unit, we are only addressing this unit and what is the mastery for this unit. So that wouldn't be a growth goal. They wouldn't have anything around growth. It would only be where are they right now with mastery. So the idea is that if they can get to, if classes can have 80% mastery on each assessment, that will give us the growth. So there are actually two different types of assessment, which is the reason why it's not tiered in that way.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
It does. And based on data that you have, I assume that that goal was not created just by, picking a number out of the air, and that you feel like that is an achievable target.
It is an achievable target, but it is definitely a push target.
Okay. Okay.
Yes. So we did do some, we did have some conversation between, like, is it 70? Is it 75? Is it 80? So we did have some of that conversation. So it is most definitely a push goal.
Okay.
Any other questions or comments? Okay. So, in thinking about our goals reflecting our strategic plan priorities, I do have some recommendations that I would like to put forward, but we will not vote on these, on making these changes, but I do want to have some discussion around them. And so, would like to update our strategic plan to one, revise the school strategies to include the implementation of rigorous instruction for literacy and mathematics. That's alignment to our SIP. So our current strategic plan does not specifically name that. Our current school strategies say to provide professional learning to teachers based on assessed needs, to integrate the use of the engineering process across the curriculum, and to execute a plan to increase the communication of skills of students to include writing, listening, and speaking. So it doesn't necessarily speak to specifically to the instruction of literacy and math. It doesn't call those things out, even though we have a priority of improving the mastery of core content knowledge. So my recommendation is to call that out as one of our school strategies. Also in that is to also include the integration of STEM and writing across the curriculum. So as I mentioned earlier, we do have that we're wanting the use of the engineering process across the curriculum. That's really the STEM integration, but also to call out specifically not just increasing writing, listening, and speaking as communication skills, but that we're doing it across the curriculum. So those are the two call outs to potentially change in our in that fostering academic excellence for all. And then the last two, the third one, adding the implementation of a multi-tier support system for attendance and behavior incentive program to address whole child needs. And it's something that I think you called out already, Miss Judy, around attendance, but also including behavior as well, because it's not like we want to get them there, but we also want them to be able to be collaborative learners, to be engaged learners on a consistent basis. So we want to be able to provide, to incentivize that as well. And that is what we want to add to our create to our whole child part, building a culture of student support. So to be able to add that as a strategy and priority. And then the last one is around a priority to build teacher capacity. So we want to be able to coach teachers up. So that was a part of our action plan, was around the coaching and feedback cycle. And so we want to call that out as a school strategy and priority around creating a system of school support and building strategic staff support. So not just giving them an opportunity for leadership, but also building their capacity around instruction, since that's where our continuous improvement goals were. So those are the call outs. Um, I'm open to any conversation about these potential revisions.
I think transparency is always valuable. So saying exactly what we're trying to do makes it easier to do what we're doing than if we couch it in rhetoric that isn't as clear.
Any other comments or questions?
Dr.
so like-
McIntyre,
Yes, ma'am.
our acronym CAMP hits on 3 of these things right here. So use it all you want. C stands for come to school, A is awesome attitude and action, and M is make an effort. So stick that in there and lean on it heavily. And like I said, tell us what you need to have support for that.
Got it. C is come to school.
A is awesome attitude and actions. M is make an effort. And then P is people participation.
We need that one too.
Yeah, well, it used to be parent participation, but that's not a realistic expectation all the time. So now we've changed it to people participation.
Got it. Okay. All right. So, like I said, this is just an opportunity for discussion. We will include it at our next meeting for an action item to be able to vote as to whether or not we want these revisions to be included. Okay. So now we're ready for our discussion around the school uniform advisory committee update.
Yes,
Ms.
I'm
Herbert?
gonna, mhm. Yes,
Oh, no,
I'm
that was
gonna
just.
yeah, I'm gonna actually share the timeline that we came up with as a committee. So by December 9th, 2024, we're gonna develop stakeholder engagement plans, receive feedback on implementing a uniform and its components if it's adopted. The uniform committee will meet by this day and come up with recommendations that will be presented to the stakeholders. By February 4th, 2025, committee will recommend optional school uniform components. By March 7th, 2025, committee will establish the student voting timeline and process. Also, we will determine the length of time the uniform will be in use before we reconsider it. By March 16, 2025, we will create a communication plan to inform the school community about the optional school uniforms. And lastly, by April 2nd, 2025, we will finalize the plan.
Any questions or comments about the timeline? Okay, thank you, Diane. All right, and so we do have one additional item that's kind of a part of our discussion. So in the previous meeting, we talked about committee members and who needed to be able to participate on the committee, like what our needs were. And so, of course, the Go Team chair will name the committee chair, and our committee chair is Ms. Herbert. And we needed 2 more additional Go Team members. So we had 2 members. I believe we now need 1 more member. Is that correct, Ms. Herbert?
Yes, it is.
So we are open to volunteers. Now that 1 member has resigned, do we have anyone we need another member? Any takers? Ms. Herbert, put on your sad face.
If I am allowed to be on the committee, I wouldn't mind being on the committee. Ms. Jacoby?
Sorry, took me a minute to get off of mute. So you could be part of the committee. I wouldn't recommend that you be chair since you're chair of the Go team. But the other thing for the team to remember is that you are allowed up to 3 Go team members, but you can put other people on the team if they are so interested. So you are not limited. You are limited to how many Go team members, but you are not limited to anybody else.
So can it be staff or community members?
It can be staff, parents, community members, anybody who you all as a Go team feel would bring the voices that you need to hear to the committee.
Awesome. So that's great to know that we can open that up. Thank you, Ms. Tucker, as well. And Ms. Herbert, you're welcome to reach out to some others as well that might be open.
Thank you.
We do have 3 students that will participate on the committee. And those 3 students, we have a 5th grader, a 4th grader, and a 3rd grader. So one kind of serves in that leadership student ambassador role, and then the other 2 are students that love to have a voice. And so we do have 3 students that will be able to participate as well. So we are really excited about that. Are there any other questions or comments around the committee members? Okay, so Ms. Herbert is going to, I believe, Diane, she will need to update the community membership portion of this form, but everything else we have already. So this is the form that was submitted. And then we will, like I said, just update the committee membership portion of the form. So we are doing this strategic planning because it will help you fully uncover your available options, set priorities for them, and define methods to achieve them. Great quote. All right, so this is where we're going. At our next meeting, we will discuss how our data is aligned to our strategic plan and determine if we need to make any adjustments. So we'll be sharing hopefully different data will be available. I am not exactly sure when our next meeting is to know if we will be finished with our map data to be able to have that available. But before the end of the fall semester, we will take action on any updates to our strategic plan. So those are the 4 call outs that I named earlier. And we'll be ranking our strategic priorities. And you can let me or the chair know if you need if you need any additional information.
We will now move into our information items. Our principals report, which will include the security grant update, and we will also get our cluster advisory team report.
Okay, so our security grant update. So I am excited to say that this is my 3rd week as the proud principal of FL Stanton Elementary. And I have been in great conversation with our assistant principal, as well as many facilities folks, security folks, and contractors. And we have, for our security grant, $45,000. We have some security concerns. And those concerns are really around current cameras that we have working, cameras, a camera that we need, current cameras that we have working and not working. So they are installed, but they are not, some places are not working. We have an area where we need a camera. We have some doors that need badges, to have badge readers for the access. There are our main office area. There's a place that needs to be closed off. We have some exterior doors that are not always catching and latching. Now, I say all that to say, all of those things I just named, we have been told that that the district and or contractors are going to take care of all of those things. So we don't need to use our security grant money for those things. So we have the great honor of being able to identify some extra stuff that we might potentially need to be able to utilize our security grant funds for. We have not yet identified those things, which is the reason why I said I've been the proud principal for now 3 weeks. So we will continue to identify areas of need, and we will be able then to determine whether or not we can use our security grant money for that. I can tell you this, I can an update. We will not be giving any money back, so we will find something.
Thank you, Dr. McIntyre. Ms. Coleman?
I couldn't find a mute button. Hey. I'm searching for my notes. I took notes. That was a minute ago. Y'all bear with me.
We do have
Our
another
next
meeting
meeting, here we
tomorrow.
go. So
Yeah.
our cluster advisory meeting started off with the superintendent, Dr. Johnson. He addressed everybody about our safety and security. He talked about the gap that we have, the $103 million gap that we have in our budget right now. He's looking to start filling that gap starting in the district first. So he's not looking to take money from schools just yet. But they're working to fix it, of course. In my individual cluster meeting, we decided to work on, I lost that page. We picked 4 topics that we were going to focus on this year, this year, and I lost that set of notes. I apologize. But a lot of it was focused around attendance. I know we talked about STEM, literacy. The last one I don't remember right now. But those are the areas that we plan on trying to focus on to improve in the district, in our individual meetings. That is as far as we got. And we set our cluster meetings and times. And then time was up. A lot of the time was taken up by the superintendent and people asking questions about the gap and where they were going to find the money to fill in, $103 million. People wanted to make sure that it wasn't going to come from certain particular schools or if programs were going to be cut. And the superintendent stressed that his goal is to find the money by making cuts within the district, in the district office area, not in the schools. That was the sum of our cluster meeting, the first one. We'll have our next meeting tomorrow.
Thank you, Ms. Coleman, for that report. We have reached the portion where we have public comment. And we did its announcements. I apologize. Its announcements. Does anyone have any announcements?
I do. Sorry, I got kicked off there.
Yes, ma'am.
Well, just for those of you who weren't present at our assembly 2 weeks ago, we have kicked off Camp Jenny 2025.
Yep.
We're excited to announce our theme of Inside Out. So we'll be exploring how we handle emotions and how we can make them our strengths rather than our struggles. Our staff applications just opened and they will close in December so that we can fill our spaces with our staff. And then I'll be working with Dr. McIntyre and the staff at the school to get all of our kiddos on the bus. Also, we were very pleased to be able to bring a truckload of food donations when we came 2 weeks ago. And then I actually will be bringing another truckload of donations on Tuesday of next week so that you will have food to send home with our kiddos for Thanksgiving break.
I also have some announcements.
I have a question for Miss Judy. What grade for former campers that they can become staff?
That's a great question. They need to be finishing the 9th grade. They need to be in 9th grade or higher this year. So if they are in 9th grade or higher this year, they can go to our webpage. The staff application is already open and they can go ahead and complete that application.
Thank you.
Absolutely. We love to have alumni as staff.
Okay. And so we also have some additional announcements. So today we had our Thanksgiving luncheon. It was a success. We had several parents that were able to come and eat lunch with our scholars. And our upcoming events tomorrow, we have our Ruby Bridges March. And so we are trying to change the narrative of instead of criticism for going to school and marching to school, we want to celebrate. And so we are celebrating the opportunity that we have. And we are asking and have been asking for parents and community members to come out and support our students as we walk from the park up the hill to the school. And so we are actually having buses. Our buses will drop off at the bottom of the hill tomorrow. As well, we want parents to drop off at the bottom of the hill. So we're asking for everyone to be there at around 7:10. So at 7:15, we can start our trek up the hill. And so kids have chants and songs that they're going to be singing. We have some posters and some people along the way to cheer our scholars on. Now, it is predicted that it will be about an 85% chance of rain tomorrow. So if indeed it does rain, we have a backup plan. And our backup plan is next Thursday, November 21st. And on November 21st, our plan is we are marching rain or shine. So if it's raining, we will try to get ponchos or something. We are going to reach out to some partners to try to get ponchos for every child so that we can still make this happen no matter what. If we can't do it tomorrow, then next Thursday is our date. November 22nd, the Gold Church is providing a food pantry. So that's on next Friday. So we will have an opportunity for our families to go home with food for the holiday. They have about 200 turkeys. So we are that for
Nice.
our school community and the community at large. On December 18th, we will have our holiday program. The theme this year is Polar Express. And that will happen during the day. Also, on that same day, we are also having our holiday gift giveaway. So parents will already be there for the holiday program. And so we will also have the gift giveaway at that time. So parents will be there to be able to see and take those gifts. And then our next meeting, we will need to take a look also at mission and vision revisions for the school. So based on our district standards of service, because we are a STEM signature program school, we need to make sure that our mission and vision indicate that we have STEM as our signature program. Our current mission and vision do not include anything about STEM. So we have already solicited to our school community, our inside our local school community about the revisions, and they have made some votes. And so we want to be able to present that information to our Go team for our Go team to be able to vote on at our next meeting. If not vote, definitely discussion. So I'll talk with Diane and Ms. Tucker to figure out whether it's a discussion item or it's an action item, but we do have to address the mission and vision revision. So those are all the announcements I have.
I have an additional announcement. I am just urging all Go Team members check your emails regularly as information is being disseminated from the Go Team office about different different trainings that have to be completed for us to be in compliance, and also announcements and meeting announcements. So please be sure to make sure that all of your contact information is updated and you are checking your emails regularly. And also Ms. Herbert and myself have been in contact with people. If you need to give us other means of communication, please do so whenever you need to. When Ms. Tucker is not chasing your car down at the car pickup line and blowing your phone up, Ms. Colby. So I just thank you guys so much for all that you have done. We have reached the portion for public comment. We did not have anybody to sign up for our public comment. Okay.
Ms. Tucker, may I make a couple of quick announcements from the Go Team office?
Yes, ma'am. Yes,
So
ma'am.
thank you all for a great meeting. It was loved the discussion, loved the work of the committee. Really quickly to let you all know, please save the date. On Saturday, January 11th, 2025, we are going to be having our summit, our Go, Grow, Govern G3 Summit. If you'll remember, we had to postpone it because of the hurricane back in September. All Go Team members are invited, but we would like each team to send at least 3. The other thing is we have 2 opportunities for y'all to have the live portion of the orientation training if you are new to the team and you haven't completed it yet. So that there's one on Friday morning at 10 and next Tuesday, the 19th at 1, I believe. Let me see. I can't keep all these times in my head.
Ms.
But
Jacoby,
yes,
will that be sent out again?
Yes, I'm working on
especially
it.
to Miss Judy.
Yeah, I'm working on it right now. So,
Okay.
and I think Miss Judy, I think I had checked, you're fine with the online portion, but you do need to renew it once every 4 years. So I think you're up for renewal.
Okay, no problem.
Thank you. Thank you so much for letting me make those announcements.
Thank you, Ms. Jacoby. We have reached the end of our agenda. Is there any additional business at this time?
Do you know the time for the holiday program on December 18th?
Can you repeat that, Ms. Judy? I'm sorry.
I do not have a time yet. We will communicate that though.
Okay, great, thanks.
Okay, and that was my question for the holiday program and the food bank. Is there a time and location for that? Hello?
So I will find out for the time. We're so that communication is going out this week for the food pantry. So you will get that time. All parents will get that time.
Okay, you were muted. Is there a location? Is the location the school?
Yeah, the location is the same. I think it's at the right there at the park. So same place it usually is. Bottom of the hill.
Is there any additional business at this time? May I have a motion to adjourn the meeting?
I motion.
I second, Ms. Powell.
All in favor, please say aye. Jessica Tucker, aye.
Ashley Herbert,
Tiffany
aye.
Coleman, aye.
Judy
Lamumba,
Lamore,
aye.
aye.
All opposed, please say nay. Any abstentions? Please say abstain. Meeting is adjourned. Thank you so much for participating in our meeting.